Welcome to the deep dive. We take a source and really pull out the key stuff for you.
Get right to the heart of it.
Exactly. And today we're getting into Rework by Jason Fried.
Ah, yes. Not your standard business book, this one.
Definitely not. It's packed with unconventional ideas. Really makes you rethink things.
It does, and it comes from Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson, the guys behind 37 Signals, which you probably know is Basecamp now.
Right. They built Basecamp, Highrise, Campfire, all those tools. And Ruby on Rails, too, the programming framework. Big stuff.
Huge. And they built this really successful, profitable company.
By pretty much ignoring a lot of the standard business advice, right?
That's the fascinating part. They questioned the constant push for massive growth, ditched endless meetings.
Oh, the meetings.
Complex budgets, big ad spends. They
Yeah.
sort of forged their own path.
It's quite contrarian, but it clearly worked for them.
Yeah, it shows there isn't just one way to do things. Sometimes the counterintuitive road is, well, better.
So that's what we're doing today. We'll dig into some of their main ideas, give you the highlights from Rework.
A shortcut to their thinking, maybe get you questioning some things yourself.
Okay, let's start where they do this idea of the new reality. They say the whole game has changed because of tech. What's the core idea there for you?
Well, it's about how technology levels the playing field.
Yeah.
It empowers individuals like never before.
How so?
They point out that one person with the right software, the right tools, they can often do what used to take a whole department.
Right, much more efficient.
Totally. And everything's cheaper to start. So this idea that you need to work like 80-hour weeks,
Yeah.
they challenge that.
Yeah, they suggest 10 to 40 hours a week can be plenty.
Focused hours, yeah. And you don't necessarily need a big investment or even an office anymore.
You can start something on the side, work from anywhere.
Collaborate globally.
Mm.
It's a fundamental shift. It lets you actually, well, rework how you work.
Okay, so that new reality sets the stage for them challenging some standard business rules.
Exactly. Like the first one. Learning from mistakes is overrated. That one definitely ruffles some feathers.
It does. We always hear, fail fast, fail often. But they argue success is actually the better teacher. Why?
Their logic is, well, when something works, you can really analyze why it worked. You can see the successful ingredients.
And try to repeat them.
Right. But failure, that could be down to like a million different things. Bad timing, wrong market, poor execution. It's harder to isolate the useful lesson.
They mention a Harvard Business School study too, don't they?
Yeah, that's interesting. It found entrepreneurs who'd succeeded once had a much better shot at succeeding again, like 34% success rate. Compared to those who failed first. Their success rate the second time was only about 23%, which is basically the same as someone starting completely fresh.
Wow. So failing didn't actually give them much of an edge, statistically speaking.
Seems not. And they kind of link it to nature. Evolution builds on what works, on successful adaptations, not on the failures.
So focus on dissecting your wins. Understand why they worked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't ignore failure, but learn more deeply from success. Okay, next up, planning.
Ah, yes. Planning is guessing. That's blunt.
It is. But their point is pretty simple. Long-term business plans. They're full of assumptions about things you just can't control.
Like the market shifting or what competitors might do.
Or the whole economy. So spending ages on a super detailed plan gives you this false sense of control over a future you can't really predict.
So what's the alternative? Just wing it.
Not exactly wing it, but change your mindset. Think of plans as guesses.
Just calling them guesses. How does that help?
It lowers the stakes. It acknowledges the uncertainty and makes you more willing to adapt, to improvise when things inevitably change.
Instead of being rigidly stuck to a plan that's already out of date.
Right. And they also say plans can trap you by letting the past dictate the future. You need room to grab opportunities you didn't plan for.
Makes sense. Be flexible, ready to pivot. Okay, what about growth? Why grow? That chapter title sounds almost anti-business.
Well, not quite anti-business, but anti-automatic growth. They question the assumption that bigger is always the goal.
What's their take?
They say small isn't just a phase you pass through. Small can be a great place to be, a sustainable destination.
Interesting. Because usually the goal is scale, scale, scale.
Yeah, but they point out all the headaches that come with getting more staff, more management, bigger expenses, more complexity.
Less agility.
Exactly. Big companies often wish they could be as nimble as smaller ones. And shrinking a big company, that's really hard and painful.
Layoffs, morale hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they argue that staying smaller and more manageable might actually be a better, less stressful way to run a business. Don't feel pressured to just get bigger for the sake of it.
Right, it's a conscious choice. Which leads nicely into their point about labels. Enough with entrepreneurs.
Uh-huh. They prefer the term starters.
Why the change? What's wrong with entrepreneur?
They feel it's become this, like, overly hyped, almost mythical status. It can make starting something seem really daunting, like you need special DNA or a massive risk appetite.
Like it's only for a certain type of person.
Exactly. They want to bring it back down to earth. If you have an idea, some passion, a bit of drive,
Yeah.
you can be a starter. You don't need an MBA or a huge tolerance for crazy risks.
It makes it feel more accessible. I like that. Okay, let's move into their go section, actually making things happen.
Right. First big idea here. Make a dent in the universe.
Sounds ambitious, like Steve Jobs level stuff.
Not necessarily world-changing, but meaningful.
Yeah.
Is your work making a real difference to your customers? Does it matter to them?
So it's about impact, even on a smaller scale.
Yeah. Would people actually miss your product or service if it vanished tomorrow? That's the test.
They mention Craigslist and the Drudge Report as examples, right? Huge impact, small teams.
Exactly. Proves you don't need to be massive to matter. Another key thing, scratch your own itch.
Meaning, solve your own problems.
Pretty much. Build something you need, something you care about.
Yeah.
Because then you understand the problem inside out.
And you understand what a good solution looks like.
And you'll have the passion to stick with it, which is crucial. Which leads to their next point. Start making something.
Get on with it, basically. Less talk, more action.
Exactly. They hate that, oh, I had the idea for eBay first excuse.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Ideas are cheap.
Execution is everything. Just having the idea means nothing. You got to build it, do the work.
And what about the classic excuse? I don't have time.
They call that out directly. No time is no excuse.
Ouch. Harsh, but maybe fair.
The point is, time is usually there if you really look. Cut back on TV, stay up an hour later.
Find those pockets.
Yeah. A few focused hours a week is often enough to get started, they argue. You don't necessarily need to quit your job right away.
Okay, another interesting one. Draw a line in the sand. This is about defining what you won't do.
Yes. It's about focus and staying true to your core values, knowing your boundaries.
How does that help you go?
It keeps you from compromising on quality or trying to be everything to everyone. Their example is the sandwich shop that closes when the fresh bread runs out.
Right. They don't switch to lower quality bread just to make a few more sales.
Exactly. It's a commitment. This is who we are, this is what we stand for, and this is what we won't do.
What about mission statements? They have a chapter called Mission Statement Impossible. Sounds like they're not fans.
Not really, no. Especially those long, jargon-filled ones that sound nice but mean nothing in practice.
The ones full of corporate buzzwords.
Yeah. They tear apart an example from Enterprise Rent-A-Car. It's like paragraphs long, but ultimately vague.
So what's the alternative? No mission at all.
No, just have clear values that you actually live by. Show them through your actions, not through some fluffy statement nobody remembers.
Okay, funding. Their advice is outside money is Plan Z. Big proponents of bootstrapping.
Very much so. Use your own resources, start generating revenue quickly, keep it lean.
They mention their own early days, right? Sharing office space.
One server, founders doing customer support. They see that frugality as a strength, not a weakness, especially early on.
Which connects to, you need less than you think. Where do businesses usually overspend?
Oh, lots of places. Long-term contracts they don't need yet, hiring too many people too soon, too many meetings, complicated processes, too much inventory.
Basically tying yourself down too early.
Exactly. Stay flexible. Avoid those heavy commitments.
They also distinguish between starting a business and starting a startup. What's the difference for them?
A business, in their view, is focused on building something sustainable, something that makes money, a real operation.
And a startup.
Often they see startups as being obsessed with hypergrowth, usually fueled by outside money, with the main goal being to get bought out quickly.
Building to flip is building to flop, as they put it.
Yeah, pretty blunt. They think focusing on profit and sustainability from day one is a healthier path.
And the last point in Go is less mass. Just reinforcing that lean, agile idea.
Pretty much. Stay small, stay nimble. You can react faster, change direction easier, fix mistakes quicker. Less inertia.
Okay, let's move to progress, actually getting things done. A key idea here is embrace constraints. Seems odd, aren't constraints usually bad?
We tend to think so, but they argue limitations like less time, less money, fewer people can actually spark creativity.
Oh.
They force you to be resourceful, to focus on what's truly essential, to find clever workarounds, No room for waste.
They give examples, right? Like prisoner inventions.
Yeah, or Southwest Airlines using only one type of plane for massive efficiency gains.
Mm-hmm.
Constraints drove that innovation.
And their own experience building base camp with a remote team and no funding.
Exactly. Those limits force them to keep it simple, focused. And they say they still impose constraints intentionally now, like small teams for projects.
Interesting. Another principle. Build half a product, not a half-assed product.
This is all about focus and quality. Do fewer things, but do them exceptionally well.
Rather than trying to cram in every feature imaginable and doing none of them great.
Precisely. Resist the urge to add just one more thing. Make the core experience amazing. Be willing to cut features, even good ones, to achieve that.
And find that core by starting at the epicenter.
Right. Identify the absolute most crucial part of your offering. What's the main reason people come to you?
Like the hot dog at the hot dog stand.
Perfect example. Nail that first. Make the hot dog fantastic before you stress about the 20 types of relish.
And related to that focus, ignore the details early on. Don't sweat the small stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, don't get bogged down in minor things before the fundamentals are solid. Like
Yeah.
an architect figuring out the floor plan before picking bathroom tiles.
Or Disney animators focusing on the key movements first.
Exactly. Get the core right, then refine. Otherwise, you waste time on details that might change anyway.
They also push for action with making the call is making progress.
Yes, decisiveness is key. Don't let decisions pile up. Indecision stalls everything.
Better to make a decent decision now than wait forever for the perfect one.
Often, yes. They use their own example of using service credits for affiliate payouts. Initially, it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to get started and avoid complexity.
And you can always adjust later if needed.
Exactly. Progress over perfection. Move forward. Learn. Adjust.
Okay, I like this next one. Be a curator. What does that mean for a business?
It means saying no strategically, intentionally leaving things out, like a museum curator selecting only the best pieces for an exhibit.
So less is more, again.
Definitely. Cut back features, simplify services, maybe even narrow your customer focus. Resist adding more. Often, removing stuff is the better path.
Like a chef refining a menu down to fewer, better dishes.
Perfect analogy. It's about quality and focus, achieved by subtraction, not just addition.
They also say, tone is in your fingers. What's the point there?
It's that the quality comes from the creator, not just the tools. Give a beginner guitarist Eric Clapton's guitar, they still sound like a beginner.
So don't obsess over having the fanciest tools or software.
Right. Focus on skill, dedication, the actual work. Good people produce good work, even with basic tools.
An unexpected idea. Sell your byproducts. Look for value in waste.
Essentially, yeah. What outputs from your main work could be valuable to others? Lumber companies selling sawdust, for example.
Or their own book, Getting Real, came from their internal processes.
Exactly. Be creative. Look for hidden assets or opportunities in what you're already doing.
And the last one in progress seems like procrastination. Put it off.
It sounds like it. But it's about ruthless prioritization for launch, what is absolutely essential to go live.
And everything else.
Put it off. Delay it. Focus only on the must-haves to get started quickly. They suggest imagining you had to launch in 2 weeks what makes the cut.
Forces you to identify the true core. Okay, on to productivity hacks. First up, illusions of agreement.
This is a warning. Just because people have seen a document or nodded along doesn't mean they truly understand or agree.
Relying only on written stuff can be misleading.
Very. You need more tangible checks for understanding. Real conversation, prototypes, seeing things in action. Don't assume alignment based on silence or a quick read-through.
They also push asking 2 key questions. Adding value versus adding features.
And will this change behavior?
Why are those so important?
They stop you from just adding stuff for the sake of it. Does this new feature really help the customer? Or is it just more clutter?
And will people actually use it differently? Will it make a real impact?
Exactly. If the answer is likely no, maybe don't build it. Focus resources where they'll make a difference.
Which ties into the next question. Is it really worth it?
This is about constantly evaluating where your time and energy are going. Is this meeting necessary? Is this task high value? Are we reacting to a competitor just because?
Be intentional about your effort.
Right. Focus on what yields the biggest return. Don't just stay busy on low-impact stuff.
They also say, good enough is fine. Permission to not be perfect.
Yes. Striving for perfection can be paralyzing. Sometimes getting something decent out the door quickly is way better than waiting forever for flawless.
I like that quick and dirty local TV ad example they use. It worked.
Exactly. Know when good enough achieves the goal and lets you move on. You can always iterate later.
For big projects, they recommend small
Yeah,
batches.
break huge things down into, say, 2-week chunks.
Why? What are the benefits?
Keeps momentum up, you see progress often. Easier to adjust if you get feedback or go off track.
Yeah.
More frequent wins boost morale. Less risk of going way down the wrong path before realizing it.
Makes sense. And a very basic but crucial one, go to sleep.
Seems obvious, but so often ignored. Lack of sleep kills creativity, hurts morale, leads to bad decisions.
Makes you stubborn.
Totally. Trying to work when exhausted is usually counterproductive. Rest is essential for good work.
Okay, acknowledging a common pain point. Your estimates suck.
Yes. We're all bad at guessing how long things take.
So what do they suggest?
Break tasks down really small, like 6–10 hours max. Work in short iterations, maybe a week at a time for bigger things. It forces more frequent reality checks and makes estimates a bit more manageable, if not perfect.
And for daily tasks, long lists don't get done.
Right. Those endless lists are just demoralizing. Keep them short, achievable.
And prioritize visually.
Yeah, put the single most important thing right at the top. Make it obvious what to tackle first.
Finally, productivity-wise, make tiny decisions.
The idea is that big decisions are stressful, hard to make, and hard to undo. Ego gets involved.
So make smaller choices.
Yeah, small incremental decisions are easier to make and easier to reverse if they're wrong. It keeps you moving, learning, adapting, without the paralysis of huge high-stakes choices.
All right, shifting to competitor strategy. First rule, don't copy.
Absolutely. Trying to be a clone just makes you a cheap imitation. Find your own angle, your own values.
Inject your perspective, like Zappos with customer service.
Or Polyface Farm with their environmental focus. That's what makes you stand out, not just mimicking someone else.
Yeah. They also suggest you pick a fight. Sounds aggressive.
It's more about strategic positioning. Define yourself against something, a competitor, an industry standard.
Like Audi versus BMW or Apple versus Microsoft back in the day.
Exactly. It creates a clear story, gives people a reason to choose you. It clarifies what makes you different.
Another counterintuitive one. Underdo your competition. Offer less.
Yeah. Instead of piling on features, do fewer things, but do them brilliantly. Think of the original flip camera.
Super simple, focused, hugely successful because of it.
Right. Less complexity. More focus on executing the core function really well. Sometimes that's the winning move.
And finally, on competitors. Who cares what they're doing? Just ignore them.
Pretty much. Obsessing over competitors leads to stress, kills originality, makes you reactive.
Focus on your own game.
Exactly. Focus on your customers, your product, your vision. Don't let the competition drive your strategy.
Okay, evolution and adaptation, first point. Say no by default.
This is crucial for focus. Protect your time and resources. Saying yes to everything spreads you too thin.
Even saying no to good ideas sometimes.
Especially then. You have to prioritize ruthlessly. ING Direct is their example. They said no to tons of normal banking services to stay focused and lean.
Also, don't confuse enthusiasm with priority.
Right. A new idea seems amazing in the moment, but let it cool off. Assess its real value later. Don't just jump on every exciting thing immediately.
See if the enthusiasm lasts.
Yeah, and if it truly fits your strategy.
And this one's really interesting. Regarding customer requests, don't write it down.
Huh. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? But their point is, listen, definitely listen. But don't feel obliged to log every single suggestion.
Why not?
They believe the really important stuff, the common pain points, will keep coming up. You'll hear them repeatedly. Those are the ones that stick. If you forget a request easily, it probably wasn't that critical or widespread.
Let the important signals rise to the top naturally. Huh. Okay, promotion strategies. Starting with welcome obscurity. Being unknown is good.
Early on, yes. It gives you freedom. Freedom to experiment, make mistakes, iterate without a huge audience watching and judging.
Like test markets for retailers or out-of-town tryouts for plays.
Exactly. Use that early obscurity to get things right before the spotlight hits.
They strongly advocate build an audience. How?
By creating genuinely useful content. Share your knowledge, your insights. Like their signal versus noise blog.
Attract people with value, not just ads.
Right. Build a loyal following whose attention you've earned, not bought.
Which links to outteach your competition. Share your secrets.
Kind of. Share your expertise openly. It builds trust, establishes you as knowledgeable. People are attracted to those who teach well.
even if it's about something seemingly boring, like fishing or trekking examples they use.
Yeah, make it interesting. Share what you know. It can be powerful marketing.
And nobody likes plastic flowers. Be authentic.
Exactly. Don't try to be perfect or polished. Be real.
Hmm.
Show your personality, even your flaws. People connect with authenticity, not corporate speak.
Instead of big media, they say, find the niche. Target smaller outlets.
Often, yeah. Niche blogs or publications might have smaller reach, but their audience is usually way more engaged and relevant to what you do.
Quality over quantity of eyeballs.
Precisely. A passionate niche audience can be incredibly valuable.
Okay, the provocative one. Drug dealers get it right. What's the lesson?
Huh. It's about the free sample. Get people to taste of your product. Let them try it risk-free.
Like free trials for software or samples at a bakery.
Exactly. Lower the barrier to entry, let them experience the value, and they're more likely to buy the full thing.
They also stress, marketing is not a department.
Meaning everything you do is marketing. Every customer interaction, every email, the product itself, it all shapes perception.
So everyone in the company is involved in marketing.
Whether they know it or not, yes.
And forget the myth of the big launch.
Yeah, don't bet everything on one huge PR splash. Great brands like Starbucks or Apple grew organically over time by consistently delivering.
Focus on building the audience and the product first.
Right. The launch isn't the make or break moment it's often made out to be.
Okay, hiring principles. Very practical advice. Do it yourself first.
Absolutely. Don't hire for a role until you've actually done it yourself, at least for a bit.
Why is that so important?
You understand the job, what's involved, what good looks like, makes you a better manager, and helps you hire the right person.
And when to hire. Hire when it hurts.
Wait until you're genuinely overloaded, until the pain of not having help is obvious.
Avoids hiring too early, adding costs before it's truly needed.
Exactly. Ensures the new person has meaningful work immediately.
What about pass on great people who aren't a great fit? Seems tough.
But crucial. Skills aren't enough. If someone doesn't fit the culture, isn't honest, or creates friction, their talent might not be worth the disruption.
Fit and integrity matter as much as skills.
Absolutely. A bad fit can poison a team.
They're not fans of resumes, calling them strangers at a cocktail party.
Huh. Yeah, they find them impersonal, easily faked, don't reveal much about the real person.
Prefer cover letters.
Often, yes. A well-written cover letter shows more genuine interest in communication skill. They also question focusing too much on years of irrelevance. Experience doesn't always equal competence for this job.
And forget about formal education.
They argue talent isn't confined to elite universities. Plenty of brilliant, successful people don't have fancy degrees. Practical skills and passion matter more.
Academia can even teach bad writing habits, they suggest.
Which they see as a really bad sign, given how much they value clear writing.
On small teams, everybody works. No room for
Delegators. People who just manage. Everyone needs to be a doer, a contributor, roll up your sleeves.
They love hire managers of one. What is that?
People who are self-directed, they figure out what needs doing, set their own goals, and get it done without constant hand-holding. Incredibly valuable.
And their emphasis on writing. Hire great writers, even for non-writing roles.
Yes, because clear writing indicates clear thinking. It means better communication, better collaboration, clearer ideas, essential for almost any job.
With remote work, the best are everywhere. Hire globally.
Don't limit yourself geographically. Expand that talent pool. Just make sure you have some workday overlap for communication. Maybe you meet in person occasionally.
And finally, test drive employees. Try before you buy.
Basically, use trial periods, small contract projects, see how they actually work, how they fit, before making the full commitment. Reduces hiring mistakes.
Moving to damage control. Crucial first step. Own your bad news.
Transparency is key. Don't hide it, don't delay, get out in front of it, take responsibility.
They contrast Exxon's slow response with Ashland-Nussel's quick one.
Exactly. Own it, explain it, say what you're doing about it.
And speed changes everything in these situations.
Yes, act fast. The longer you wait, the worse it looks, the more trust erodes. Quick action contains the damage.
They give tips on how to say you're sorry, what makes a good apology.
No, not apologies. Accept responsibility clearly, explain what happened, say how you'll fix it and prevent it from happening again. Be sincere. A personal "I'm sorry" from a leader helps.
And put everyone on the front lines. Get developers talking to customers.
Everyone. Direct interaction avoids the telephone game where messages get distorted. People closer to the product need to hear feedback firsthand, especially when things go wrong.
Helps build empathy and leads to better fixes.
Definitely. And lastly here, take a deep breath. Don't overreact.
Right.
Initial reactions to bad news or changes can be intense, emotional. Pause. Assess calmly. Don't make rash decisions in the heat of the moment. Often things cool down.
Okay, on to culture. They say you don't create a culture. How does it happen then?
It emerges naturally from consistent behavior. It's the sum of your actions, especially leadership's actions, over time, not from posters or perks.
That's what you do, not what you say.
Exactly. It's built day by day.
They also reassure us that decisions are temporary.
Most of them, anyway. Don't be paralyzed by fear. You can usually change course if a decision doesn't work out. It encourages action.
They advise against focusing only on hiring rock stars.
Yeah, skip the rock stars. Focus instead on building a great environment where motivated, average people can do amazing work together. Teamwork over individual ego.
And they're not 13. Treat employees like
Adults, trust them. Give them autonomy. Don't saddle them with stupid, restrictive rules. Treat people with respect.
which includes send people home at 5, encourage work-life balance.
Yes, sustainable pace.
Mm.
Long hours don't necessarily mean better work. Rested, balanced people are often more productive and creative. Trust them to manage their time.
Don't scar on the first cut. Allow for mistakes.
Especially early on or when trying new things. Don't create a culture of fear. Allow room for learning without overly harsh consequences for initial errors.
And sound like you. Be authentic in communication.
Yes, drop the corporate jargon. Write and speak naturally. Be
Yeah.
human. It builds connection.
They list some 4-letter words to avoid, like,
Need, must, can't, easy, just, only, fast.
oh, I avoid those.
They often create false urgency, black and white thinking, or unnecessary conflict. They oversimplify things.
And ASAP ease poison. Why?
Overuse kills real prioritization. Everything becomes urgent, which means nothing is. Creates needless stress. Be specific about deadlines instead.
Okay, their final thought. Inspiration is perishable. Act now.
Yes. When you get that spark, that great idea, act on it quickly. Don't wait. Inspiration fades. Seize the moment.
So wrapping it all up, the core message of Rework seems to be challenge the norms, focus on simplicity and action, use constraints to your advantage.
And always, always focus on delivering real value to customers. Ditch the complexity, ditch the bureaucracy. Just build something useful and sustainable.
It's a really refreshing back-to-basics approach in many ways.
Absolutely. And remember, we've just skimmed the surface here. There's so much more practical advice in the book itself.
Definitely worth picking up if any of this resonated with you.
Highly recommended for anyone starting something or even just working within a larger company and wanting to do things better.
So for you, the listener, here's something to think about. What's one piece of conventional business wisdom, one rule you follow that maybe, just maybe, you're ready to rework in your own world?
What could you simplify or challenge starting today?
Food for thought. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.